of earnings, what do you make of it all so far?
Well, I think the BMW earnings are a little bit worrying. Points to increased cost and going to be increased capex for the future. So I think although the stock's had a good run, I think we're going to see a pullback and then a continued line of weakness as it's going to have to continue investing very, very heavily just to stay still.
Not good news as well for M&S on the clothing front. Does Marc Bolland need to kind of worry about his job?
Yeah, I think so. I think Marks & Spencer's doesn't really have a clear strategy. It's blaming the retail environment for the lack of clothes sales, but you've got Primark coming out today with a huge increase in profit. So consumers are spending, they're just choosing not to spend on Marks & Spencer's clothes, and they've got their range very wrong. So I think if it carries on, Mr. Bolland is going to have to look for a new job, and shareholders are always going to look back at that takeout offer a few years ago and wish they'd taken the money.
And better news for Imperial Tobacco, looking for modest growth in 2014, dividends up at least 10%. Is this going to encourage investors to ignore its falling sales?
I think so. It's trying to get its mix right. It's really moving away from its traditional markets into the emerging markets, and it's really key whether it can get a foothold in what it calls the growth markets, China, Russia, in India. So if it can get that right, it should carry the falling sales should reverse themselves, and it should be a springboard for growth.
And just to finish up, a quick one on China. So the Premier is basically saying he needs to maintain current growth just to stand still, right?
Yeah, it's a bit of a quandary. The emerging markets have moved ahead at such a pace that they now need to have this growth to avoid people falling into poverty, because the consumers in China are actually beginning to spend and live beyond their means. So it does need this growth, and it is really worrying that the whole world effectively hinges on China. And if you see growth figures of 5%, you're going to see a deep recession and a very quick pullback. So it's a concern that they need to really address, and it affects America and Europe as well.